Well, here we are again. Today's HDR day, or HDRI day. I'll start the display up and press N. We can get rid of that panel. And no, we'll leave that. We'll pop in, when I get there, a mesh circle. And I'll press T to bring up the toolbar, and we'll fill it with an N-gon. Doesn't matter what we fill it with in this case. And looking a bit bumpy around the edges, so I'll increase the vertices to something a bit more, well, a lot more actually. It'll do. Excuse me. And we'll increase the radius, make it about 5 or 6. Somewhere like that, that'll do, and zoom out. I'm going to front view by pressing number pad 1, and then going to edit view by pressing tab, and extrude, press Z just to constrain it to the Z axis. That'll do. This is going to be a bit of a mirror. We'll put a mesh in here. Yeah, an icosphere, just because I like the look of the things. Move it up a bit. Now I have made a mistake here because I've added the mesh in edit mode, and it'll be, these two will all be considered one unit or one piece. See, we deselect them. We'll leave that as it is for a minute, and I'll open another window. We don't need it that big. Shove it back up, and we'll convert this to a node editor, and we'll click use nodes. We don't want scene, we want the shader. We don't want either of those actually, but so get rid of those. Use shaders, and now what I've got to do is separate these, and I can't do it in object mode. You see this stuck together, they're all one unit. Control P parents, and I'd forgotten that. I'll get everything sorted in a minute. This is in real time. I would normally chop all this rubbish out, but we don't want to parent. They are already parented for that matter. Right, we'll go into edit mode, press P, and separate by loose parts, and you can see now they've separated because they're different colours. Tab again, we're in object mode, select the bottom, and we'll put a new material on. That automatically gives you these. I don't want to use diffuse, I want this to be a mirror. You'll see why later on. So we'll put a glossy shader in. Connect those up. Put the roughness down. You want a little bit of roughness really, because nothing's perfectly smooth. We'll go for a really low number. 0.01 should do. And press enter. And colour. Go for a very light blue for no other reason that we can. Brightness up to full. Now that's looking a bit bumpy, so we'll smooth it out. Smooth, there it is. Just click on that and it's smooth. Now we'll put a material on the icosphere, and it'll be a new material, material 01, and if you look across here in materials, it's showing material 01. If you look in the material list, we've got material 0. All computers start at 0 and number onwards. You can rename this if you like. I could rename that icosphere, but we've only got 2, so why bother? Even I can remember 2. use a principal shader this time. This is relatively new to Blender, and it basically does everything. It can get quite complicated, but in this case we'll just put bright green, and we'll put it full metallic. And all the other settings we'll just leave, mainly because I don't know what they really do. There's loads of them. Clear coat we could put on, that's just what it says really, it's like a varnish over the top, so for car bodywork or anything like that. Sheen is for material, like silk or something like that. Anti-stropic or whatever it says. Lord alone knows. Never used that. I'll have to have a play there one day. And if we render this now, we won't really see very much because we've no light in the scene. This is where the HDRIs come in. I'll go back to solid and just pull that down a bit. And we'll go into the world settings and use nodes. And when I get these in view, we can leave these as they are. We need both of these, which is rare in Blender. We'll add a texture, and it'll be an environment texture. There we go. Plug that into the colour and open up. And I'm going to desktop, and I've got a file with HDRIs in. And as you can see, it's got loads of other rubbish in as well because I'm so well organised. I just end up dumping stuff all over. We'll use this on Halang or whatever it says, mainly because it's just small, but we could use any of those HDR files. Now this is where I've always had trouble before. If we go into rendered now, we get a peculiar result. You can see the mirror's reflecting something, but we're not really getting what I want. And it's taken me ages to work this out. I always model in ortho mode. So if I press number 5, keypad number 5, go into perspective and rendered, we then get the picture we're looking for. Not the best HDRI. I'll do a second part to this because it does get more complicated, and I'll try and find a much higher resolution world, if you like. These are 360 degrees, so you can see underneath we've got the beach and on top the sky. Some aren't a full 360, but I don't know what that black ring is. I think this one's possibly not a full 360. We'll go down here and put denoising on. Again, this is relatively new. It's to save the little fireflies. Cut the number of renders down you need. What all these do, I'm not quite sure. So I'll just leave them as default, if you like. Just try these. But it's not re-rendering, so they're not doing anything. Now, while I'm messing about here, I've tacked a couple of other short video clips on. One is a colour popped girl in a red coat, which is much simpler than the way I did it before, and it's given a cleaner pop as well. She'll turn up in a minute. Her face needs masking out, as you'll see. But, there she goes. But the pop is pretty good. And then I was messing about again. This is what always happens when I'm editing video. I think of things. You'll see in a minute. Here it is. This is quite an interesting effect. Probably for a title sequence or something like that. And if it was shot with this job in mind, could be a lot better.